Thanks for your support as a channel member, Jeremy Kasoka! So far this season, I've predicted Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris to win the Grand Prix. And while Lando Norris did win the Australian Grand Prix, that wasn't the one I thought he would win. So let's see if I can predict the right winner today for the Japanese Grand Prix. Hello folks, and welcome back to another F1 predictions video, and today we're predicting the Japanese Grand Prix around the legendary Suzuka Figure of 8 circuit. A very exciting weekend coming up because Yuki Tsunoda is making his debut for Red Bull after they sensationally dropped Liam Lawson just 2 races into the year. So where will Yuki end up? Will he get out of Q1? Will he get points? Let me know in the comments. I want to see what you think about Yuki's prospects this weekend. I'll be giving you my predictions in a moment, and then we will have a look at what you guys have had to say and see who will end up as our master predictor this weekend. So let's kick things off then with who I think is going to be on pole position. I've gone for Lando Norris. He took pole in Australia, very good pole position, didn't quite get it right in China, but clearly the speed is there. When he's at one with the car, I think he is faster than Piastri. So over one lap, that's where he could do his damage. Obviously, if the car's not quite working for him, he's a bit more limited, and that's going to open the opportunity up for Oscar to do the damage that he did in China, and then whoever starts at the front probably controls the race. So if Lando gets pole, he's going to be able to dictate what happens in the Grand Prix. It's up to Piastri then, or Norris, whoever's behind, to make the difference. So I'm going to go with Lando for pole. I just think he's going to need to come back and make a statement after the China weekend. Let's move on to third on the podium. I'm going with George Russell. He's had a fine start to the season. 2 podiums, third place in both Australia and in China. He got a front row start in Shanghai, of course, in qualifying. And you know, there's something ironic about Lewis leaving the team and the car being kind of strong at the start of the season. It's just the way motorsport and sport in general works, and George is making excellent use of it. He's showing all of his skill. I think he's being a fantastic team leader so far, and it's really kind of putting to bed any talk of a contract going to Verstappen and joining Mercedes in 2026. Obviously Red Bull have got all their own issues in terms of their drivers and stuff like that, but George is making it a very easy case for Mercedes to just sign him up again. And I think he's going to continue that case with a podium in Japan. Moving on then to second, and I think it's going to be a McLaren one too. So let's just get it straight out of the bag. Oscar Piastri second, Lando Norris to win the race. And it goes back to what I said beforehand about the pole position. Whoever is in front dictates the race. So I think Lando getting the pole logically then means he is in front and he can dictate what's going on. It's difficult to pass with these 2025 cars, even with DRS. It's always been difficult to pass at Suzuka. Your best bet is a dive bomb into the hairpin or a lunge into the chicane, and if you get a really good run out of the chicane, you might be able to take the position through turns 1 and 2. But aside from that, it's just don't crash, because it's a high-speed circuit, some tricky corners, and keep the mistakes to a minimum. And these two drivers are going to be pushing each other, so whoever's second needs to force a mistake from the car in front to get by or do something on the strategy. It's going to come down to those fine margins. Who can extract the final ounce of performance in qualifying? Who can make the difference in the Grand Prix? So yeah, it's going to be a papaya podium, at least the top 2 steps, but I'm going to go with Oscar second and Lando in front. Moving on then to a bold prediction, and it surrounds Red Bull and 3 of their drivers. I don't think we need to include Max Verstappen in this, but it could easily happen, let's be honest. I'm going with both Racing Bull drivers, that's now Liam Lawson and Isaac Hadjar, to qualify ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. Might not be the most overtly bold prediction, but I just think both of them being ahead of him on his debut weekend would just underscore that it's not the driver, because Lawson was beaten by both Racing Bulls in both qualifying sessions, or all 3 qualifying sessions he had in the Red Bull this season. If Tsunoda goes in and is immediately behind them as well, surely Red Bull have to realise that the problem is the car and not whoever's in the driver's seat. I mean, they're coming out with all sorts about why Liam Lawson was dropped. It all just seems to be contradictory, but yeah, it's just, I have a feeling that Racing Bull car is just so much more drivable that if you put Max Verstappen in it, he'd be exactly where he is anyway, and he'd be much happier, so he'd probably be further up the road than he is now. Well, I say now, but he's not miles ahead, he'd maybe be a bit closer to the McLarens, but you know what I mean. So yeah, that's my bold prediction. Racing Bulls to qualify ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. Alright, time for your predictions. Let's see what you guys have had to say. As I did in China, I will be highlighting just a few messages from people who we haven't heard from before, and as well I will always highlight my members. So if they've got a little star icon next to their name, just like Justin Emikaitis here, he's got like a yellow gold star. He's been a channel member for nearly a year. Thank you to Justin for your support. So yeah, I will be shouting out those guys and the guys who we've not heard from so much as well. So yeah, we'll just keep it mixed up. So let's start with Justin, who's gone with Lando on pole, Lando to win ahead of Oscar, and Lewis Hamilton in third place. And a bold prediction of a top 5 for Yuki Tsunoda. Good shout that. Let's go with Vardan. He's also gone for Lando to win from pole position ahead of Oscar. Max or George on the podium. I'm not a Ferrari fan. Anyone but Ferrari. Fair enough. Both McLarens battle hard. I would expect that. I would hope that. Henry Stevenson has gone for George Russell on pole position. Wow. That's a big one. And Lewis Hamilton to win the race. Wow. Henry with all the bold predictions here. Norris and Russell to finish on the podium behind Lewis Hamilton. And the McLaren teammates are going to collide. Well, papaya rolls out the window. They will not be listening, will they, if that happens. Knight has gone with Lando, Oscar, pole for Lando, then Oscar to win ahead of Norris and Russell, with both Haas cars in the points. Jeremy Kasoka, one of our channel members, pole position for Lando and the victory ahead of Russell and Piastri, with Yuki to finish in the top 10 or the top 5. So Yuki to get points is what I draw from that. Optics goes for Lando on pole, but Oscar Piastri to beat him in the race, and then Max Verstappen to join them on the podium. Yuki Tsunoda is going to DNF in his first race for Red Bull. Well, that would be that would send the Japanese home. That would send the Japanese fans home very unhappy, wouldn't it? Electric Gaming has gone with Max Verstappen on pole. Lando to win the race though, ahead of the 2 Red Bulls. Yuki Tsunoda being on the podium is probably your bold prediction there, Electric. Oscar will get damage on the first lap, ruining his race. Okay, that's very specific for a bold prediction. Drummer D says Hamilton on pole, Tsunoda to win the race, Verstappen to finish second after Max lets his teammate through so he can win his home race. That's never happening. That is absolutely never happening. He wouldn't give up, what was it, 5th, 6th in Brazil a couple of years ago to Perez? Not happening. Carlos Sainz on the podium. Bold prediction, C above. Well, yeah, fair enough. Crispy Bacon. Norris to get pole. Fine. Yuki Tsunoda will win ahead of Lando Norris and Kimi Antonelli, with Oliver Behrman 8th or above. Interesting. Very interesting. And we will round this off with Chamil, Oscar for pole position, George Russell to win the race. Interesting. And then the 2 McLarens behind, Lawson to finish the race ahead of Verstappen. That. Well, what would Red Bull do then? What would Red Bull do? Amazing predictions. Thank you to everyone who submitted a prediction. I know I can't share all of them because otherwise this would be an enormously long video, but as you can see, they're all on the screen. So thank you everyone for sharing your predictions. And also tell me in the comments how you think Yuki Tsunoda will get on if you haven't already in this. So I want to hear from you. I think he's going to be out-qualified by both Racing Bulls. I don't think he's even going to score a point. So that's what I think. That's what everyone else thinks. If you haven't commented already, tell me what you think in the comments, and we will see you for some race reaction after the Japanese Grand Prix. It's nice and early, 6 AM in the UK on Sunday morning. Gotta love it. Thanks for watching, everyone. You're the best fans, and remember, be fast or be last.